In case you're just joining us, my name is Ajuluchukwu Okabwe.
And my name is Ifi Onachukwu. And what are we talking about today?
Yeah, we have selective, preventing selective justice in Nigeria, lessons from the aviation sector and beyond.
From aviation to health, from law enforcement to public procurement, Nigerians have long complained of a justice system where rules seem to apply differently depending on who is involved. The swift action recently taken in the aviation sector against unruly passenger behavior shows what consistent enforcement can look like, but also raises the question, why don't we see the same standard in other areas? Whether it's corruption cases, political offenses, you can also talk about labor disputes or consumer protection. Selective justice is not only there to undermine public trust, but also weakens the rule of law. Now, the questions we are asking this morning is, how do we ensure fairness and equity in enforcement across all sectors of national life? And you know why we're talking about this? We're starting with the aviation industry, where people have talked about the recent Kwam-1, what's the interface or incident, and then the lady Emerson, who also had some altercations with some. In fact, it was terrible and a national disaster. Then justice was given immediately without investigations. So that's why we are here with our resource person this morning, political affairs analyst, barrister Chuks Arukwe. I used to get no as a near. Okay, let's start with knowing what's, it's that recently this term came up. I know it has been existing, but it's now everywhere online when we are talking selective justice. What is the context and why is it such a recurring challenge?
Yes, things happen and they brew up, just like the aviation industry incidents, K1 and K2. That's what the public bloggers call it and all that. If those things didn't happen, we may well be living in our self-denials that these things don't happen every day in our life. It just shows symptomatic problems we have in a decadent society, a society where the rule of law is not equal. The idea of law is that it should apply to everybody in the same measure, in the same equitable way. That procedures are even. The way I am arrested is the way somebody else who had committed the same kind of offense should be treated. And the human dignity should be at the back of everything we do. The human person, his inalienable right, at no point in time will he be subjected to man actions or things that don't respect his human being. That gift that God has given everybody, liberty, freedom to talk, freedom to do a few things, freedom to associate with your friends, freedom to go out, freedom of movement, and all that kind of thing that are secured in chapter 4 and made bold by other human rights, African Charter on Human Rights and all those things. So human beings are protected. The dignity of human beings are protected in such a manner that any state or government that tribalizes with it, that trifles with it, is rated as very low in the community of nations.
So do you believe it's, what sectors, or are there sectors that are safe from selective justice in Nigeria?
It is something that we breathe every day, you wake up to it. There's, in Nigeria, there's a big man and others. Do you know who I am? It's the slogan we all grew up with, where even in the traffic system, some people break the red light and they are exculpated, they're allowed to do it because they are big men. Big men means that they have wealth, they ride the kind of SUV you don't have, they have connections with the power that be, the corridors of power, they are connected. They can sack you from your job with just a telephone. Those big men are feared in Nigeria. Aircrafts have been stopped waiting for somebody to tidy up a discussion before the airport crew closes the door and all that. I've witnessed it practically. So there's selective justice in all realms of our lives. It's not something that is a one thing or one-off thing. It's not something that happens just this way and doesn't happen the other way. In all branches of our life, it is there. You wake up, you see it.
When we talk about selective justice, trying to mirror it down to what happened at the airports, both at Akwa Ibom and in Lagos, when we begin to talk of these things, there are laws that govern passenger compliance when they are about boarding the airplane or within the confines of the airport. When we see passengers violating such rights, they expect the laws, you understand, to fall heavily on them. And now, so people are beginning to say, okay, this person did something like this. Some did. They said in Kwam's case, they said his act was considered a terrorist act. More like you wanted to just prevent a plane from taking off, and you had a substance in a flask which could explode or whatever. And in the case of MSN, that our case was unruly behavior on our own part, on the simple instruction, which is an aviation rule, that your phone should be switched off or placed on airplane mode. So most people are coming out to say, where is the selective justice in this? These people violated the conduct of the airport. And then the arms of the law fell on them. And people are crying haywire that selective justice, irrespective of the fact that both actions were different case scenario. So how do you isolate these issues, knowing first and foremost that these people actually violated the law and now they are seeking justice after violation of the law? Yeah,
the law doesn't just begin with the penal code. It begins with the process, the procedure. If you are to arrest somebody, there must be the procedure for arrest. Arrest or restraint does not mean using excessive force to dehumanize a woman, bringing her nakedness to the public glare, publishing it, and then infringing on her fundamental right. No matter what it is, the ramp staff, those people who carry loads and all that, are not policemen. They are not authorized to touch a woman in civilized societies.
We later saw some of them, wearing vests. Inscribed with airport security.
Yeah, they have airport security, the police people. There's always a police cell or police.
Which they call.
Which they call. That was a later event. But the people who were bringing out the comfort.
The force was excessive.
Those were normal crew members and ramp staff. They have nothing to do with security. They have no right to abduct a fellow passenger in the manner they did, in such a way that somebody was permitted to do the video of the lady in her nakedness.
And it seems to be a staff.
And it's a staff. And the Honorable Minister for Aviation has said he's going to come down on the fellow that serialized the viral photograph. And it was the job of even the ramp staff and all the crew members to make sure that the photographs of that woman was not being taken. And the matters that led to all these things are very, very comical. One, she was seated, calm and good, because she was visibly visiting somebody in Lagos. She was sitting down and had put her phone, because she's not a first-time traveler. She's not a first-time traveler. Like most of us have flown in and out. She put her phone on flight mode. That would just enable her to fiddle with her videos, look at things, look at pictures, and get herself busy. Because there's nothing else that happens in domestic flights. There are no music, there are no things you can watch. But if it's international, you can bring down your personal videos on at the back there and be watching something. So at that point, she said, look at my phone. My phone is on flight.
And then that one of the buttons had issues.
And then one of the hostesses came around and was trying to force the phone to off the phone, and even went ahead and smashed the phone, threw the phone on the ground. In the altercation, removed her wig. That was assault and violation too many. And she kept calm and was disembarking. That same lady stopped her from disembarking, claiming that the police authorities have been called, the airport authorities have been called. The airport is secure, that you can't run away from the tarmac to the doors. They are secured. So that the police, the airport police, could have just normally arrested her in the manner arrests are made. Because there's a holding cell in the police stations and in the airport where she would have been comfortably taken to, questioned, and she will give her own testimony and evidences. If it warrants any other custodial action, it will be taken. But swift, a lot of things went wrong. A charge sheet was made that was dated 11th October, was hoisted on her, and brazenly she was taken to a magistrate court in Ikeja. Within an hour, the magistrate had remanded her.
Swift justice.
Till October, when the court will resume. While we know that we have vacation judges, even if the magistrate does not have jurisdiction to try the matter, bordering on all sorts of offenses that they have trumped up, unruly behavior, endangering the public peace and all that. If she lacks the jurisdiction to hold the matter, she could have transferred the matter. One, it is a bailable offense. She can grant the bail. Or transfer the matter to a vacation judge who will hear the bail application. And then you haven't done an investigation, because before you charge somebody to court, there must be an investigation. Investigation is just not what you see. You must go to the root cause of where did it begin. You got to watch the videos, you got to watch the CCTVs, and now place the matter squarely and sequentially. And then when you have now had your evidences, you can now charge the person. Because for every offense, there's a defense. The lady has a whole lot of defense. Provocation is a defense. If you provoke a person, removing a woman's wig is just like denuding her. Because some people may have gray hairs which they are hiding under their wigs, and you remove it. When you remove it, you are exposing her nudity of a sort.
And even her nudity was later exposed.
Oh yes, everybody is abreast that she has remarkable breast blessings and all that. Many of our men are more interested in what they saw than what actually
had good judgment.
Yes, and that the injury done to the lady is colossal. It's colossal because she might not recover from it all her life, because these things are recorded. The internet does not sleep. And the airline is culprit and complicit, and they are going to go in for it, because MBA is pro bono helping her. Other lawyers are also already filing
people
cases.
People are asking MBA to go and sit down. That, they just wanted to chase clout and all this. It's been happening and they've not done anything. Why this one?
No, this one is exacerbated. It cries to heaven for justice. It cries for heaven for justice.
Now, is Kwam's...
One is that she does not have the connections.
She was saying, let me call my lawyer.
Yeah.
That means she has connections.
That does not mean she has connections. Calling your lawyer does not mean you have connections. You are calling for help. But these other people will call for cancellation of the matter. Do you know who you are dealing with? Do you know who that man is? Will you kindly remove your hand from that place? Did Kwam K1, did he not fly through the aviation jet, the A-jet, the next 1 hour? The same aircraft, the same airline carried him to Lagos from Abuja. And this is a man.
Could it be because he later, okay, no, after, remember that afterwards, when they wanted to pronounce, they made some pronouncements against him, he later came out, I think he was on channels, and apologized.
Apologized does not
saying that it wasn't alcohol that he had, it was water. Well,
whatever he had.
The workers, you know, the
whatever the law, the rule about carrying liquids is about you are entitled to carry only 100 millimeter of fluid. The issue is not even about alcohol. It's about the quantity. And because the aviation safety, yes, the aviation safety is looking at the quantity that can cause a harm, whether it's alcohol, water, or not. And then again, the flask itself could be used as an instrument of violence.
Of course.
In overseas, you don't see people carrying anything into the aircraft except their phone and their personal luggages they put on the hangars and all that.
Which would have been screened.
So what we're saying is that the two matters are virtually related in that they happened in the aviation industry. Why treat this matter in such a sweet manner and treat the other one with kid gloves? As per being violated, that lady had been violated, stripped of her fundamental human rights. I do not give a shit what she has done. But she's not a first-time flyer. You put your phone, either you switch off if you're not interested in looking at your phone, you switch off, or you put it in on flight mode. What it means is it cannot receive signals, and you cannot use it to do any harm if it's on a flight mode. And why do they call it flight mode? Because you are in an aircraft.
Okay, now some people are bringing in ethnic sentiment into this so-called selective justice in the airports. That of Kwam 1, they said that if the pilot, who's a lady, was from the Igbo part of Nigeria, that I think maybe she would have been delicensed, but that all these are happening because they now noticed that she was from the southern part of Nigeria. That was why justice that would have been done immediately was delayed in her favor. What's your take on that?
Her license has been suspended. Have been suspended for 6 months. Not 6 months. 6 months. Okay. So whatever the
do you see ethnic sentiment in this as people are projecting?
I do not want to call it ethnic sentiment. What I rather would think about is about big manism, the aspect of Nigeria that this man has a lot of international, national clout. I don't listen to his music. I don't even know him. I'm just hearing of him here. So if he's popular with some people. And the most important thing, he seems to be connected with the ruling class, because we saw him apologizing to the president.
Well crafted press review.
Why are you apologizing to the president for a domestic matter that concerns aviation authorities and all that? That is overreach, showing us that you have connection in the corridors that be. This lady is a 25-year-old lady. She doesn't have that kind of connection. Even if she's a mistress to any of the important persons in the land.
The person will even run away now.
We don't know.
So
she's not connected. She may well have a lawyer for other things she does in life. She needs to have a lawyer to speak to her in order to tell her how to protect her fundamental rights, about giving evidence, about talking to anybody, about talking to the questions they are going to ask and all that. A lot of breaches were committed by the airline. And I have listened to public opinion, I have listened to people who sat close to the lady, and they testified that this lady was calm. She was calm. Just Googling through her phone, on flight mode, she was trying to show the air hostess, look at my phone has been on flight mode. What it means is that technically the phone is enabled. So the phone is harmless. So why treat these two scenarios unequally? That is what people are saying. That is why they call it Kwan 1 and Kwan 2. And then it's supposed to be commingled. It's supposed to be brought together to send the signals that this is how not to do things. Both the domestic staff, the airline, the crew, and even the pilot may have overreacted, because removing the Kwan 1 from the front of the aircraft was the duty of the police. Was the duty of the police. They were afraid not to touch him. You see where they were begging him. In civilized cultures, you dare not do it.
But in the girl's case, they were saying, pull her, you know, as if she was a bag of onions.
They tore her, you know, the dress she was wearing was something they're tucking into the underpants and all that. They pulled it out. Somebody was saying she wasn't stripped. What was left of her nakedness?
But
now, still talking on this issue of selective justice, the papers...
sorry, I just want to say something before we want to move to the other sectors.
Yeah, beyond.
Right now, people are saying, you know, they've gone to, dig out the girl's personal Facebook live or social media live.
Yes.
Where she has always posted nude pictures of herself and all these. Very, very... And they said, you know, making her nude is nothing, because already she has been posing nude on Facebook, and now people are trying to allow, you know, what she posted on social media to influence their judgment of who the girl is. Is that enough reason to do selective judgment on this girl based on the case we are handling now?
No, those are extraneous matters. They don't come into judicial processes. The choice of addressing, maybe her dreadlocks, if I now have earrings now here, does it matter that you won't give me my fundamental rights? Those things are just comics. Those things are, she might be a blogger. That might not be her real life. She might be a media...
Just chasing clout.
Doing her thing to make her pages roll and be monetized. Okay. And because that's the craze for young ladies to monetize their pages, and Facebook will pay them their dividends and all that. I do not think most people are not as knowledgeable as they ought to be. Things that are not important are turned into frenzy. That the girl is a prostitute, she's going to visit her husband, her boyfriend is a hookup and all that. Those things are not the issue. The issue is, what are the events that happened? And the infringement of someone's fundamental rights. Was she prejudicially treated? Was she treated normally? In the event that somebody wanted to stop an aircraft, and that person was given gloves, a slap on the back, and the same airliner carried the same Kwan 1 back to Lagos the same day, just an hour after, and he has not been called upon to explain his circumstances.
He just decided to come and explain.
Well, I think adding to that, the minister said that there will be an investigation into Kwan 1.
They wrote to the IG, Inspector General of Police, maybe yesterday, and the Inspector General of Police have said there must be a thorough and full investigation. Yeah. But you know what these things are? They're gimmicks. I don't believe in all of these people. What of Oshimole? Oshimole the other time, about 3 weeks back, caused the same consternation, because he's an honorable man, he's a senator. And they said there was going to be an investigation. He's 2 months old now, and that investigation never has seen the light of the day. And we have to reform our system. When they travel abroad, they behave civilly. Kwan 1 has been traveling outside to America. He boasts that his passports are filled with his travel something. But he hasn't shown us where he traveled with that in his flask. He suffers dehydration. He tells the world that he suffers from dehydration.
But they give water.
Meanwhile,
on flights.
Within Nigeria, there's no flight that takes an hour.
Even within the 1 hour flight, they give water. There was a day I was given one full bottle of,
Yeah.
one very big bottle. People were saying, what did you do to them that they gave you the bottle, I just said, baby, that was, but normally they give water. So, I don't know.
Yeah. The newspaper review this morning had this caption on the front page of the Punch newspaper where the court has ordered federal government to close case in Dasuki's decade trial. And this is where we begin to ask, selective justice. What is this man still doing behind bars? For a case that has gone, and you won't say Dasuki is a nobody.
No. You know, Nigeria, the period you have for this program will not allow us to go into some of the things. Dasuki is on the opposing side of the divide. Dasuki is being tried with elements of political ingredients in his matter. There are people who have been charged with wars, accumulation of wealth, running into 200 billion. Okowa was the other day arraigned, taken to EFCC because there's no charge yet. His own has been swept under the carpet. The next week he came out from the cell, he decamped to APC. And that's the end of it. Ababio that is ruling us today, he had a case and they were calling him, he said he was going to medical in America. And that when he returns, he will answer the EFCC call, only to be made Senate president. This country needs to be cleaned out.
And you remember Kogi governor?
Kogi governor is,
they just entertained us on
under his trial. He married a new wife. Aggrandizing. Was also a plaintiff in the case against Natasha.
And we also,
there's nothing that connects the Kogi man to Natasha. It's just that he wants a political kingdom in Kogi.
And we also had that period that he wanted to contest for Senate.
Yes, so that they will remove
Natasha, and then that's
because that's the only office the governors occupy. That's the only office available for them to occupy. He's in court with Fabio against Natasha for doing absolutely nothing.
So this selective justice we're talking about here doesn't seem to hold water because as the system is in Nigeria, there is a whole lot of leakages like a colander where certain areas, certain people will commit crime and they go scot-free, and then some other person will commit same crime, and then that person will be singing for it. And now, how does this now, present us as a people? Because the international world is seeing all of these things. And then we had it, even the VP saying that Nigeria is ripe for investors to come in and invest. With issues like selective justice and then economy and issue with our judiciary, how well do you think that this portrays that importance of this country is actually right for anything positive? What
had happened in the past 3 days or 5 days thereabout has put Nigeria in the ugly side of the record, globally and in all the ramification of it. Because in what sober country would such things happen? How would you, is he the one that went into the front of the aircraft to stop the aircraft from taxiing? Is it not a terrorist act?
That's what they called it.
Because one airports are operated on timing. Because if you taxi, the same place that the taxiing takes place, every other aeroplane taxis through that place. So if there's a delay of 5 minutes, it affects the general schedule for the whole and the entire flight day. So it's an act much greater in intensity than what this harmless lady, as far as she's concerned, she's harmless. She's not connected to any important politician in the land, because we would have seen other ripples about it. And ramming her into detention in Kirikiri, somebody who was on a journey. She's lost her phone, she's lost her, nobody knows her luggages, what she's going to retrieve and what she's not going to retrieve. Her dresses are torn. I learned from the what we were reading that she's claiming 10 billion from the Akwa Ibom, and they will go in for it because if they had lawyers,
if she insists, and
if
the
they
lawyers
had
are backing
lawyers,
her now.
somebody was saying that if the Akwa Ibom people, Akwa Ibom Air, had legal department, they would have sought immediate amicable resolution of this matter because the law is not in their favor. One is the total breach of the fundamental right of your passenger, who you owe absolute duty of care while she's on that aircraft.
Because she's a king. She meant to be a king.
She's in your
as a customer.
Yes. While she's there, nothing of a harm should befall on her. And you drew her